Well, I'll get going. I'll introduce you. Um, Hello, everybody. This is Julie Starr. Julie is the founder and principal consultant of J Starr Grants, having over 20 years of experience in nonprofit organization and helping them secure funding. She's known as her innovative and approachable style and is guiding clients to millions in grant awards by blending strategy with creativity, which you always need the creativity. She believes grant writing doesn't have to be intimidating, and it can be very powerful and enjoyable to help build a lasting impact for the nonprofits. Because I mean, really, when you're a grant writer, sure we want to get paid, but deep down we want to make the world a better place. I think that's all of us. She she's not demystifying the grant world through her daily newsletter, right? Epic Grants. Julie enjoys traveling, powerlifting. I didn't know that, and Afro beats music. And one of the things I'll tell you, when I just got to know Julie because we're all in these nonprofit groups on Facebook and stuff, and I'd make comments to people of like, I mean, I'm kind of matter of fact. I'm like, come on, man, that's not right, that kind of thing. And she'd always like them, and I was like, hey, I got somebody who's got the same mindset. And then I look it up, and I was like, holy moly, Julie was big time. I mean, she has a lot of grants, a lot of people, and all that stuff. So you guys, it's a privilege for me to introduce Julie Starr to everybody, and so she'll tell you about corporate grants because that's a whole different animal. So Julie, it's yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm really happy to talk about corporate grants today. A lot of times when I talk with other grant writers about corporate grants, they kind of like wrinkle their nose and say, yeah, do people really win those grants though? And so I wanted to start the presentation with an actual picture of my actual client winning an Arby's grant. He did win this grant. We wrote it. It was a fairly simple ask. And when he went to pick up his $10,000 check, they actually gave him like $23,000. They gave him $13,000 on top of it because the grant giver was so impressed with him and what he's doing. So corporate grants can be lucrative. And you can always ask for more. A lot of the rules that apply with other types of grants don't apply with corporate grants. So I wanted to start it off with like an actual story of a real grant. They are attainable. So a little bit about me. I think I'm pretty out there in the groups and everything, and a lot of you have spoken to me or subscribed to my newsletter, right? Epic Grants. But I've been doing this for 25 years, maybe. And a fun fact is that I've never actually worked for a nonprofit. Not as a grant writer. So I've always been freelance, and it was kind of like a side thing for me for many years while I owned other businesses. And then I just decided to dive straight into it. I don't want to, I don't want to contribute to capitalistic culture. I want to help. So I love being part of the nonprofit space. And so here I am. I'm the president of J Star Grants and also Write Epic Grants. And if you don't subscribe to the newsletter Write Epic Grants, then head over there and subscribe. It's free. And I share thoughts about grant writing every single day based on my experiences, positive and negative. And I'm pretty snarky and matter of fact. So if that's your thing, then subscribe. What we're going to cover today is some basic concepts, but it seems to be a little talked about area in grant writing. We're going to talk about what corporate grants actually are. Why are these corporations even doing this? We're going to talk about the pros and cons of corporate grants, why you should apply, and maybe why you don't want to apply, or maybe why you don't want to apply for certain ones. We're going to talk about how to find them and how to vet them. And if you've seen in any of my past presentations, you know that I'm obsessed with research and vetting. And so I'll share some of the things that are important to vetting these types of grants. Also, what's a little bit different between them and foundation grants and how you want to take a different approach. We will talk about tips for winning corporate grants. There's some things that I do that I think increase chances of winning, especially when they're high competition grants. And then we're going to talk about how to win them year after year because I'm big on snowballing grants. I mean, once I win a grant, I want to win it every year if that's possible. And so we'll talk about some ways that we can do that too. So to get started, what are corporate grants? Why do corporations even give this money? Corporate grants are financial contributions by the philanthropic arm of a corporation. So this could be a separate foundation that they set up. This could be some income generated by employee donations. One of the coolest things that I've come across with a corporate grant is I won a Sprouts grant for Sprouts grocery store for my son's Montessori school. It was a seed to table type program where we had a garden and the kids were preparing food. When we went to receive the check, the manager told us that at Christmas time, they were doing the roundup. So when you go and, if your bill is like 1787, you round up to 18, and those extra roundups were going into a fund to help people over the holidays. But they couldn't figure out how to turn the roundup off. So it just kept rounding up and the pot just kept collecting and collecting. So they decided to start an ongoing corporate grant for seed to table programs at schools. And that's kind of how theirs got started in like a kind of unconventional and unintentional way. So corporate grants, they collect the money in lots of different ways. And ultimately, I mean, they want tax breaks. They get tax breaks for their donations. And that way, they're contributing to their community, they're getting good press, and they're also getting tax breaks. So almost every corporation you come across in your community will offer something like this, some kind of sponsorship or scholarship or grant. So start looking out for it and doing some research because they almost all offer it. A lot of corporations now have corporate social responsibility goals. So they don't just want to make money, they also want to bring value to the communities that they serve, to the employees that they serve. So they will have a corporate social responsibility policy, and the goals in that will be aligned with their brand values and also aligned with the grants that they issue. So when you start researching these grants, really dig into what their corporate social responsibility values are and goals are. And if you're aligned with those, then it's going to be a great fit. We talked a little bit about this already, but a lot of the money that is in these pots comes from either their percentage of their corporate profits that they want tax breaks for through an employee giving program, or they could set up like a whole separate corporate foundation, which a lot of them do. And that way they have a whole separate arm that aligns with the corporate social responsibility goals. The pros for applying for corporate grants are that the applications are usually pretty simple. They are not community foundations. So they aren't compiling reports with data, census. They aren't taking community surveys. They aren't focusing on, certain areas that have high needs. Like really corporations are just looking for areas that they're looking for areas that align with their brand values, their marketing. So those are some of that's a big pro, is that the applications are simple and not nearly as technical as a lot of the community foundation grants. Oftentimes they focus on short-term impact versus long-term. So if you have some short-term goals and they don't necessarily fit a community foundation grant that maybe wants to see more longitudinal goals, then corporate grants will be a good match for you. The reporting is a lot of times non-existent. A lot of corporate grants don't require any reporting at all. You can submit reporting as a courtesy, but the reporting is not complex. If they do ask for reports, it's fairly simple. They want some pictures to market or put on social media. They want to know that they're making a difference. They want some, brief impact, but you're not going to have to do a logic model and then report on outcomes. Really, they just want some basic outputs, even if they want that. The flexible spending is the biggest pro of corporate grants. A lot of times they will give it to you for general operations, or they really don't need you to specify how you're going to spend it, or they're really flexible with the spending. So if you can't spend it in a certain way, you can just reach out to them and ask them, and they'll say, oh yeah, you can apply it towards this or that. They're really not as strict. They don't have the stakeholders that community foundations have. They don't have a lot of the same criteria, so they can be a lot more flexible with how you spend the money. They also have rolling deadlines. So this is one of my favorite things. So when I set up my grant calendar, and a lot of you may have seen my presentation on completing a grant calendar in the past, when I set up my grant calendar, I put all of the most important deadlines. the big community foundation grants, recurring grants, any grants that we've gotten before, grants that are associated with board members, all of the big ones, the big wins, I lay them all out first. And then I'll put in some new grants, here and there. And I use corporate grants to fill in all the gaps. So most corporate grants have rolling deadlines. So that makes it super easy to fill in the gaps on your calendar. Because if you have a shortage in this month, you can just do a couple corporate grants. You can avoid corporate grants altogether during like the high volume grant seasons, like in March. I love that about them. Okay, so there are some reasons why you may not want to apply for corporate grants. And one of them is that they do have elaborate announcement and marketing requirements. So this is a marketing and branding opportunity for them. They want an announcement. They want marketing. They want everyone to know they're not an anonymous donor. They're not a quiet community foundation. They need you to know, they need everyone to know that they gave you this money and they want you to be loud and proud about it. So if your marketing department, or if it's just you, if it's a very small organization and you don't have the capacity to issue press releases or do intensive social media or send out some email blasts, maybe don't apply for corporate grants because they do require that. They expect that. And if you want to get that grant again, or you want to get a higher amount in the future, you're going to have to do that. Um, they start off usually with smaller dollar amounts. This isn't always the case. And my contribution to the Summit swag bag is a list of 25 corporate grants that you can start working on right away. And some of them are very high dollar grants, but a lot of especially the local corporations will start with smaller grants, like 5 or 10,000. But like the story I told you in the beginning with the first slide, we won $10,000, but then when he showed up and he told them what he's doing and what his goals are, they stroked a check for another 13,000. So he walked away with 23,000 from a fairly simple application. The other thing that a lot of grant writers talk about when they talk about why they shy away from these grants is that they can be competitive. But when I think of competitive corporate grants, I think of Kentucky Fried Dreams. I think of Chick-fil-A. I think of Panera. I mean, I don't know. I don't personally know very many people who have won these grants. I mean, I think I work for small to mid-sized nonprofits, and it's pretty difficult to win these grants for small to mid-sized nonprofits. But that is not to say that it's impossible. And those are also not the only grants. Those are the ones that have the most notoriety. But there are corporate grants everywhere. If you walk outside and you look to your left and you look to your right and you see a gas station and you see a Walmart across the street and you see a Brooks Brothers in the mall, I mean, all of those corporations have grant programs. They all engage in philanthropy in their local communities. Every grocery store that I've come across, every chain, every fast food restaurant, every restaurant, if you just start looking around and figuring out who owns these places, who that like Darden is like Olive Garden and a lot of those. So Darden has a big program. So if you're going out, if you're going shopping, start thinking about like, okay, who is in charge of these grants? Because those corporate grants are available in every community. The other deterrent for a lot of grant writers is that corporate grants sometimes require an invitation. So you'll click on the application, you'll start going through, and it'll say, which employee referred you? And then you're like, oh man, I'm stuck. And that has happened to me, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to sit there and think, I have to know somebody who knows somebody at this place. And so that's what I do. I send out emails to the board. I send out emails to our volunteers. I start asking my own personal network. I ask other grant writers what they've done. And there are lots of ways. If you're applying to a local corporation, somebody knows somebody that can write a letter or send, an invitation. Sometimes it's just an invitation code that you have to enter in. And so that makes it very simple. So if once you exhaust your network, then you'll probably get a code. If not, move on and just keep it in the back of your mind. If it's like there was a McDonald's grant, it was the McDonald's Golden Grant, and we needed a letter from a manager. We did the LOI, we were approved for the next stage, but then we needed a letter from a manager. So my executive director and I went out and beat the streets and went to every McDonald's. We talked to every manager, and we found a manager that was willing to sign the letter. In the previous breakout session, Rosia made a great point. She said, have the letter ready. Don't wait for them to send it to you. Have it ready for them to sign. And that's exactly what we did. We had the letter ready. All the manager had to do was sign. So have that letter, get them to sign it, and submit that grant. Don't let the invitation hold you back with a corporate grant. You can find somebody who knows somebody and get that grant submitted. So we're going to talk about how to find and vet corporate grants. I already said, look to the left and look to the right, and these corporations are everywhere, but obviously we need more information than that. So how can we find these grants? Number one is leverage our networks. I just talked about that. Board members are a great resource when it comes to this. So if I have, for example, if I want to apply for the Ameriprise grant, it's a great grant opportunity if you're within their funding focus, and they give a lot of money. I reached out to the board and I said, does anyone work for Ameriprise? No. Does anyone know anyone who works for Ameriprise? Well, two of them invest with Ameriprise. And so they got in touch with their agent. Their agent got in touch with the office. We got the details on the best chances of applying for the grant. The agents wrote recommendation letters for the founding or for the nonprofit organization. And so there we go, we were in. So we didn't win it the first year, but the second year we won because they had a whole year of talking about our organization. They had two agents affiliated with our organization, and we had 2 years of recommendation letters. So that's a big win. That Ameriprise grant is a great win. That it could be the gym that the board member attends. It could be a business that they own themselves or a franchise owner. I mean, it's really just about brainstorming. You can open a screen on your notes, whether it's on your phone or whether it's on your laptop, and just start brainstorming. Who works where? Look at your board list. Where do they work? Who are they affiliated with? Look at your volunteers. Start talking to the volunteers. Try to figure out where you have connections and start there. Grant research tools, obviously instrumental, and GrantStation, they're invaluable. Both of those tools you can filter. So you can filter out corporate grants. A lot of times I don't even pick funding focus. I'll just filter out the corporate grants and I'll just start digging into them. You can do funding focus. You can do all of the United States and Canada. You can do it by state. I mean, a lot of times I like to cast a wide net and then keep going down, and I learn a lot. I learn about a lot of different opportunities. When I was putting together the list, I learned about the Geico grant. I didn't know about that, and that's a fit for one of my clients. So even in putting together the list for you guys for the summit, I found a new opportunity that didn't show up when I had filters on. So just filter out corporate grants and focus. I don't know how you guys manage your time, but I like to block my time. And so 1 day a week, I'll focus on corporate grants, because you have to get your mind right. It's not like community grants. The mindset is different. The research is different. So spend a day, a month, or a day a week or whatever, and just focus on corporate. Social media is also surprisingly a great way to serendipitously come across corporate grants. I always like the organizations that I patronize, or like different companies, health insurance. I mean, any type of thing that I'm interested in or that I'm researching, I'll follow them on social media, whether it's IG or LinkedIn. So when I follow them, I'll start seeing, all of their stuff on my feed, and I always end up seeing a grant opportunity. I think it's maybe my algorithm is set up for grants, but I'll always see a grant opportunity. So I know like the Chick-fil-A grant always comes up, the KFC grant always comes up, but lots of other ones too that I never had thought about. Like for example, Orange Theory, they have a grant program. I think it's a scholarship program, so it doesn't jive with any of my clients. But the only way I knew that is because I follow them on Facebook. LinkedIn is another great source. If you start following a bunch of corporations, then LinkedIn will start feeding you corporations. And then since you're already in the grant algorithm on LinkedIn, it will start feeding you corporate grant opportunities. And so a lot of those have popped up for me too. And it's just a great serendipitous find. And then it goes straight on my grant calendar. So don't discount social media. Matching funding, match funding focus. So corporations, we talked before about how they have a focus in their philanthropic giving. Your focus has to match. There's a lot less leeway with community foundations. There's sometimes more leeway when it comes to, well, that kind of can fit that match, that focus, but it's a little bit off, but they like us. With corporate grants, there really isn't a lot of leeway. It has to match their funding focus. Lexus only does events. If you reach out to them and you ask them for, grants or even they'll say no. But Toyota, they have a whole truck donation program and they also do grants. So you just have to really dial in on exactly what their criteria is and make sure you match it. Otherwise, just don't waste your time. But when you find that corporate grant that hits that sweet spot, whether it's, um, housing insecurity or food insecurity or foster children or what it once you find it, I mean your chances of winning are very strong. Also, I've talked about this before when I did an instrumental presentation a while back. The 990s tell everything. So the websites can stretch the truth. The information we get on Grant Station and Instrumental can stretch the truth, but the 990s tell the complete story. So the example that I give is I came across a great grant and I was reading about it. They fund veterans. One of my clients, they serve veterans. So I was like, great, this is a great opportunity. But and they had paragraphs about veterans and pictures and everything. But I went to the 990 and I saw that it had been at least 5 years before since they had funded a veterans program. So that's not going to work for me. I need them to fund veterans programs consistently because then I know I have a great chance of winning that grant. So if the corporate grants, if they say, we fund this, this, and this, still go to the Foundation 990. It'll be an instrumental. You can look it up online through the IRS site. It's free. Grant Station, I think, has an option too, but usually I just click on the button on instrumental and it'll give you everything that they've funded in the past, I don't know how many years. And you can see and make sure that they're actually funding your cause. Does the brand align with your organization's brand? This is something we don't often think about when it comes to grant writing. This is something that's very unique to corporate grants. Um, if the example I give here is if your organization is providing substance abuse support, then you might not want to apply for a grant from Tito's Vodka. Like they offer a great grant, they give vodka, they give grant money. I mean, I've applied and won for a gala for one of my clients, but you have to make sure the brand aligns. There's going to be corporate grant opportunities that are questionable for your specific organization. And so keep that in mind. That's not something we have to think about with community foundations or, any of the other grants, federal grants. I mean, we don't have to think about brand, but keep in mind that these corporations are giving these grants because they want you to market. So it has to be a brand that you feel comfortable blasting out in your email, posting on your website, putting on your annual report. It has to be something that you feel comfortable doing. I'm going to check the chat real quick. Yes, Panera has been hard for my small yet mighty organization. I know. I mean, I've applied for Panera before and I don't know. I don't know anyone who's won it. Do you find that most corporate grants cap at a smaller amount to share the wealth? Um, Yes, they do tend to be smaller because they like to spread it out and get as much marketing for their dollar. However, you know what happened to my client? He formed a relationship and they gave him more on the spot. They have it to give. So I talk about this a little bit later in the presentation, but I think it's worth it to go for the 5,000 and then try to build that relationship and either get more next year or get more at the end of the year. Now you have a contact in there. And unlike community foundations, they don't have a lot of caps. I mean, they can give as much as they want in most cases. Yeah, the Walmart Spark grants, those are always small. I mean, like what I think they max at 5,000. And yeah, the Walmart Foundation is a whole different type of grant. Like we've gotten way bigger grants going straight to the Walmart Foundation. So if you align and you have an in, that's a great opportunity. Because the Spark grants, they will never be more than 5,000. I mean, that's one where if you're good with 1,000, I actually even think they give 500. If you're good with 500 to 5,000, apply for it over and over again, but it's never going to be more than that. So now we know what they are. We know if it's something we want to go after. We know how to find them, but how do we win them? Because they're, the big ones that we've all heard about. I mean, it's kind of like an urban legend at this point. Like, does anyone win Panera? Does anyone win Chick-fil-A? Like, who knows? Nobody knows. But not all of them are like that. And people win them. Organizations win them every year. So the way that I have been successful with winning these grants is to start local. Start local. Maybe like even a mom and pop, right? See if a mom and pop, and then you can leverage from there. If you want to start, if you're not that small and you want to start with nothing lower than 5,000 or 10,000, then start with what the biggest corporation in your region is. And even try to walk in if you can, get a manager to endorse your organization or partner, collaborate on some kind of event. Sometimes to get started and get the ball rolling, you have to do a little bit of legwork first and build the relationships. But once you start winning the corporate grants at more of a local level, expand out to regional and then national. I mean, like we've won for my clients, we've won NFL grants and we've won American Eagle Outfitter grants. We've won a lot of national corporate grants. Um, and they're very lucrative and you can win them year after year if you form a relationship. So start small and branch out and use those smaller grants as leverage to win the larger grants. Talk in the grant. So in a typical grant, we're focusing on, maybe the logic model or maybe our theory of change, or maybe we're talking about our outcomes and how we affect how we don't just this grant won't just affect our organization, but it will affect the community. I mean, all of those things are great and we still need to talk about them, but we need to take a lot of time in these grants to talk about how we are going to promote their brand. So ultimately, they want a marketing tool. They want us to market for them. So we need to tell them how we're going to do that. How are we uniquely positioned to market? Do we have a mailing list of 10,000 people and we're going to email blast, 3 times throughout the year? Are we going to post on social media? Do we have a massive following? Are we going to include them in our annual report? Maybe we'll make our annual report sponsored by them. Whatever we can point out to them that will differentiate us about how we're going to advertise this grant, that's going to help us win. They care about the impact that we have, but they also care about the marketing value to them. So that is a huge difference when you approach these grants, approach it from the mindset of a marketer. If it's not like, I wrote an email, I think yesterday, the email sent out about put yourself in the position of a grant reviewer. These grant reviewers are different. These grant reviewers, they want bang for their buck. They want marketing dollars and marketing exposure. So we just have to approach it a little bit differently and make sure that we talk a lot about how we're going to get their brand and this opportunity out there. We talked about this a little bit, but don't allow the grant size to dissuade you. It might just be $1,000 or $5,000, but maybe when you're at the grant presentation, you can say to them, are there other opportunities? We would really like to partner with you. We would like to partner on an event with you. I mean, getting in the door with these grants could be a big opportunity for more collaborations with large corporations. So don't allow the grant size to dissuade you. Just get in the door, get the initial money, and then start building these relationships. And also, don't count out in-kind grants because these can be tremendously valuable. Sometimes they have even more value than a monetary grant. A great example is I was a grant writer for a children's grief organization. And when a new child came to the organization, they would give them a teddy bear. And that would be like kind of their security teddy bear that they would carry around during the tour because they were always a little bit nervous. So I applied for the Build-A-Bear grant and I didn't even get an approval for it. Just one day, like 50 cases showed up at the front door, and it was 500 Build-A-Bear bears. I mean, amazing. Like, if you know those bears, those are very pricey bears. They're very high quality. They're adorable. Kids love them. And we had 500 of them. I mean, it was a huge blessing. And the value, the monetary value, if we had bought those bears, I mean, it would have been tremendous. It would have been cost prohibitive. So if a corporation has something that you need, if they, like, for example, the Toyota truck grant, I mean, there's all kinds of in kind. If it's a match and it's something that you need, I know that there are a lot of software grants. So if you need, like, I think Donor Doc has one that they give you like a year of their software for free. So if you have a need, go for it. Go for the in kind grants. And sometimes, many times, they're way more valuable than the monetary grants in the long run. Be clear about how you align with their funding focus and their social responsibility goals. They are not typically as savvy grant reviewers as community foundations. They're not able to, like, they don't speak our language, right? They're a corporation. So you have to be very clear. And I just spell it out. You know, you fund things like this, and we are a thing like this. And I explain in very clear terms how we align. I don't leave it up to any type of imagination. And I also always throw something in there like this partnership will forward your social responsibility goals in the following way, very clear and straightforward. And that seems to work. And I think they just want it handed to them like, this is going to be a good match because we are agreeing with the same things, the same branding, the same marketing, the same value for our community, the same social responsibility goals. They care a lot about that. Develop relationships, not just transactions. So this is where you can get that extra money. This is where you can start with 5,000, but you form a relationship with the general manager or, you know, the regional director or whoever it is, and you sell them, you let them know. So my client who got the Arby's grant, he basically said, this is going to be great. This $10,000 is going to go towards this mobile truck for it's a workforce development program. He said it's going to go towards this mobile truck that we really need. And they said, oh, well, how much is the truck? And he said 23,000. And they said, we're just going to pay for the whole thing. So these relationships, this is not just a transaction. These corporations, they want to form relationships. They want press releases. They want friends in the community. They want to get their name out there in a positive way. And it's an opportunity for us to take advantage of that. There is, like I mentioned before, a lot more flexibility in their giving than in community foundations that have more strict stakeholders. Let me check the chat and see. Oh, okay. Bye, Kelly. Thanks for coming. So I love to win grants year after year. I like to grow budgets for the long term. So how can we win these grants year after year? As with most grants, it's about forming relationships. It's just a different type of relationship. So it's about asking in plain terms what you want, what you need, what you expect, and most importantly, what you're going to give in return. So Um, we got the mobile workforce development. It's like a mobile tool truck. We got that truck, and now they're putting signage on it for AES and Arby's. So I mean, that's a huge incentive. Next time we need something, we can reach out to AES, Arby's, and even if we're not in a grant cycle, we can ask them to, to sponsor something or to provide more money. I mean, we've already shown them that we're fiscally responsible and that we're advertising for them. So these relationships can really benefit us year after year after year. So getting in the door for that first check presentation is the key. And attend the check presentation. I know like it's a hassle, and like for someone who's very introverted like me, like I don't like to go to the check presentations. So my executive directors or my director of development, I mean, I will go, but they go most of the time. And we show up, we look presentable, we smile, we share the check presentation pictures everywhere. We announce it. I mean, these things are, these presentations are important. Also, we want to go above and beyond with marketing the grant. I know it seems like I've beat this to death, but there's really no way that you can do too much when it comes to marketing these grants. Finding innovative ways to market them is going to be very important. Um, what can you do that the next person can't do? What can you do? What benefit does your organization have that the next organization doesn't have? Try to talk about that. Your mailing list, your social following, wrapping a vehicle with their logo. I mean, whatever it is that gets the money in the door, whatever you can offer that differentiates you, make sure you highlight that in your proposal. And then I mentioned before that a lot of these corporate grants don't require final reports. And that's great. I mean, you might be like, oh, great, less work for me, but put a final report together. I use Canva, I make it very visual. I have pie charts, I have testimonials, pictures. And if you send a high quality final report to someone who didn't even ask for it, it's going to be very impressive, and you're going to be first in line when they start handing out money again. Um, they want to know, they want things they can market. They want to know they can make it, that they made a difference. They want to know that their money was spent wisely. And if no one else is doing it and you're doing it, that's going to put you ahead. And then keep in touch with them throughout the grant cycle, updates, photos. Um, there's all kinds of things that you can do to keep in touch and keep that relationship going. Keep your organization in the front of their mind at all times. Then when they have that money or the grant cycle's coming up or they're doing some end of year giving, you're going to be one of the first ones they reach out to and let you know that there's an opportunity available. So it can just be like, hey, we had an event last weekend. It was great. Here's some pictures. We hung up a banner that had your logo on it. Let them know what you're doing. Um, and include their logo on annual reports, your website, other collateral. I just mentioned a banner. I have a client who does a fishing tournament with marginalized children, and they teach fishing and all kinds of like water skills. And they put banners up at every event, and all of our main givers are on there. So we have like a Children's Hospital Foundation, we have some corporate businesses in the area, a dealership, and some other places. They're all there. So every event we have that attracts, 50, 100 people, we're marketing them. We're telling the community they support our cause. And that matters. That matters to them. It's going to matter when they make the next decision for grant funding. And it also matters to our community. I mean, it matters that we're supporting the people that support us. So I'm going to open up to some questions, but first, I was thinking a lot about this summit and Sabrina and how all of these amazing people connected to even make this summit
You almost told
possible.
me that she had a
And
consulting
I,
company
oh,
and
I think somebody
he
unmuted.
took all of Sheena's proprietary information and then like left after she got fired. He's like, Sheena fired her because like she was just doing stuff that was like not on form. And before Sheena could disable all access, she went in and took all of Sheena's information. Like like all of the grants and all of like the fundraising
Kathleen,
strategies, like everything she had to create
Kathleen, can you hear us?
the org, which is that's
Kathleen,
how consultants make money.
I don't know how to like remute her.
That happens, yeah. I mean, I regret not taking all of Angela's information.
Julie, do you have
Yeah.
administration rights?
I'm trying to see right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't see where I can mute everybody. Yeah, it's not giving me the option. Okay, she's muted again. Okay, so I'll continue. I was thinking a lot about like how this whole summit came together and all the work that Brian did and you know how we all kind of had to recover from this thing with Sabrina, and I really was grateful. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful for all of these presenters that I'm presenting with and that I even get to present in their presence, and for all of you guys that are doing hard work. Like we're doing hard work that changes lives. And I think sometimes we don't think about that. It's about winning or losing or you know, having a bad day, but we are changing lives and that's super important. So I just wrote this and wanted to share. Professional grant service providers are architects of possibility. We turn ideas into opportunity and we turn words into resources that change lives. So I just want to kind of close out my presentation with that so that we all remember how important we really are. And we talk about all of these technical things, but you know, people are benefiting from the work that we do. And so I'm just really grateful for this community and that I get to work with all of you. And I want to open up to questions. I mean, any questions. It can be about corporate grants or, you know, anything really. Like, let's just start sharing about grants. Let me see if I missed any questions. Let me ask you a question. Can everyone share in the chat what's the biggest and most pride-worthy corporate grant that you've ever won? I mean, are you guys applying for corporate grants? Are you winning them? Like, what are your experiences with corporate grants? I think the biggest one, the most special one that I've won was the NFL grant. That was super special to me. It was a healthy relationships grant, and it was, I think, 50,000 or 75,000, and it was special because it's such a big grant. But even the little ones are meaningful when you win them every year. Oh, Sarah won the Taco Bell Community Foundation grant. That's amazing. That's a big one too. That one's actually on the list of corporate grants that I'm sharing in the swag bag for the summit. And yeah, you work to establish a close relationship with a franchise. And that's so important. Once you have a local franchise or a general manager riding for you, I mean, that makes all the difference in the world. Kim, you're applying but not winning them. Okay, well, that's a lot of grant writers' experience. So I hope that you took some tips away. And if you ever want to reach out, you know, I'm happy to talk more about different things that you can do to win corporate grants. Paula, she's never applied, but thanks for the presentation. Well, Paula, check in the swag bag. There's 25 opportunities there. They touch on all different kinds of focus areas and the links are there too. So look through those and see if there's any that that match your organization. Anyone else? I love the Build-A-Bear one was like a very big deal for me, and I think they're still doing it. So if anybody has a children's organization that can benefit from bears, like definitely look them up because that was a huge score. I mean, it was just like, and it was filled with so much joy. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And again, like reach out anytime and write epicgrants.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter. I just talk about all kinds of random grant things. I'm a freelancer. I own an agency and I live in Nigeria. So I'm pretty removed from my community. So I like to just like share thoughts and ideas. I go back and forth and write epic grants and email back and forth with the subscribers. So subscribe there. Here, like I'll put it in the chat. And then you can also like always email me there too. And I talk about pretty raw stuff. And if you ever have a topic suggestion or you want me to cover anything, you can send me an email and I'll, share my thoughts about whatever topic. I love talking about grants. Let me see what other grants. The American Eagle Outfitters grant, I feel like is a really good one, a big one. I know a couple people that have won it, and I win that one every year too for one of my clients. They're very generous. Like they start at 5,000 and then we've gone up every year since then. So that one's a good one. Which other the health insurance ones I feel are so hard. Those are more like community foundation grants, I think. I won the Blue Cross one a couple times, but it's hard. And the reporting's hard too. I mean, they ask for a lot more than community foundations do many times. Yes, it is. Sarah asked if the AE grant separate from the Airy Real grant. So the American Eagle Outfitters one is like the AEO grant. So it's separate. It is a separate grant. And I think it cycles in I want to say January. I can't remember exactly, but they're really out about it. New York, New York insurance was crazy. Yes. Yes, that's a tough one. Is that the AIM grant, Kim? Because I've applied for that and I won it a couple times, but it's very difficult. Yeah, that AIM grant. And I've applied for a separate client twice now and I haven't won it for them. So I think they're very specific. And the organization that I won it for is also they met the New York insurance people in person at a conference. So I'm pretty sure that that connection had a something to do with the fact that we keep winning that for that client. I think he just sent like the warning. Oh, Jody, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm always nervous about these things, so I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I just try to put out everything that works for me and hope that works for you too. Does anyone else have any more grant wins that they want to share? Like Brian said, I share my wins like excessively, but like that's what we have to do. We need to share our wins and support each other. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you have any other questions after this.
You don't hear it at all? Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's got some good, yesterday she had some wailing and moaning kind of jazz, and it was kind of crazy. Oh, good. Dr. Kalinka hears it. See, it's you. It is just you, Debbie. Yeah, Michelle's playing it, that's for sure. All right. Hey, everybody. As I said, we're gonna hop on in the rooms. I'll do the intro, the breakout stuff. Michelle will open the rooms probably about 9 minutes. So if you want to get a drink, if you want to hit the restroom, get a snack, let the dog out, whatever you're gonna do, make a quick phone call, do that. We got you there. And Dr. Browning, I see you there. I hope you got your car back. Are you driving again? Or are you getting a lot of exercise?
Driving again after a pretty big bill.
Really? They didn't take it off? Was it their
No, it
screw up
was,
or?
no, I had to pay almost $300 to get it
Oh
back.
my gosh, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
it
That's
was.
terrible.
But at least it's back.
Yes, at least we can get around. I hear that. My wife was recently in a small car crash, but it limited us to one car with three drivers. So yeah, and always you're like, oh, I don't think you realize how dependent you are on your car. Transportation's a big people needing grants. Transportation grants are a big deal to help people get things going
Yeah.
for sure. So, all right, well, we'll get going in about 8 minutes or so with the introductions, and then Michelle will open up the room. So we'll see you in just a sec, folks.
Thank you.